In a world of fantasy with demons, monsters, and magical beasts, Ilu opens his eyes for the first time and witnesses the beautiful rays of sun setting up on the horizon. For a moment he is dazed as he has no idea where he is and what he's doing in this weirdly dark place. Suddenly, a divine voice from inside him speaks up, claiming that he has been reborn from his previous life into a brand new world as a dragon. He lays there shocked, wondering whether this is some sort of a weird dream. The divine voice explains that he has the stats of a dragon egg with barely any HP or armor or any other special skills to speak of. He asks the divine voice whether this is some sort of a game, but the voice replies that his level is too low for questions like that. So either he can increase his levels or pay a monthly subscription fee to access the better LLMs. Ilu doesn't accept defeat so easily and asks where the hell is he right now and what exactly is he. But the divine voice is hellbent on getting that subscription no matter what and refuse to answer any of the questions. This causes Ilu to lose his mind just like me when I hear about the RAM prices, and he accidentally knocks himself off and falls from the tree where his nest was. To his absolute horror, his HP pool, which already was small enough, goes down by 1 point as the divine voice explains that if the HP points go down to 0, that means that he will die off forever. Scared by that, he tries to push himself to safety, but instead he ends up pushing himself down a slope and starts tumbling down the hill at record speed. He can't control himself at all and thought that he was going to definitely die. But thankfully, his egg stops at the very edge of a pond, where his life was so close to ending that he could practically see his death after drowning in the pond. Once his breaths got controlled, he gets the opportunity to actually check himself out in the reflection by the water and realizes that he is nothing more than a cracked little egg in the middle of nowhere. He starts freaking out over what the hell is happening. When Siri comes back online and tells him that he is a dragon egg, which is considered to be an F-ranked monster, which is pretty weak in this world. He can straight up die if his eggshell breaks. He has low intelligence thanks to his tiny ass brain, and the only thing it can do properly is roll around. And he sucks at even that, as he has yet to learn how to control it. Siri explains that although there is a small chance that he can become a fearsome dragon, but the chances of that happening are extremely low since 99% of the dragons are not able to survive the egg stage, as a dragon egg is considered to be a delicacy. Siri claims that it's very common for random adventurers to destroy the egg and make a delicious scramble. But sometimes the adventurers stay away as they are scared that the mother dragon might be nearby. This pisses him off as he realizes that he is nothing but a glorified ball waiting to be popped by the first thing that he encounters. In his rage, he accidentally starts rolling again, but this time he ends up learning how to steer his movements and manages to avoid certain death by turning away from a cliff edge. He manages to weave through the forest with a really good speed and learns how to control himself better. But at the end, he ends up falling down to a small ledge. To his horror, that small fall was enough to get his HP down from 4 to 3, which scares the crap out of him as he remembers that he can basically end his own life without wanting to if he continues at this rate. He decides to chill out for a bit and reconsider his life choices, which to his surprise raises his HP back to full, and with that, he gets ready to conquer the world once again as his egg self. He starts moving through the forest, thinking everything through, and realizes that if he is a dragon egg, he is bound to hatch at some point, which means that he will become a dragon, which are pretty fearsome creatures as far as he can tell. But to do that, will he have to go on quests and earn experience? And whether this world works like an RPG where he will have to fight against other enemies and monsters in order to level up. Suddenly, he spies a spiky-looking tail and immediately tries to figure out what it is, only to find out a weird purple worm-looking creature. He immediately checks the stats of the insect monster and realizes that it's not a very tough monster, but the monster as the gamer tag of being the egg eater. This scares the crap out of him, and he tries to escape without drawing any attention. But he is just as bad as me when it comes to doing stuff right, so he messes up and starts getting chased by the worm. He immediately starts rolling the opposite way, but the monster doesn't seem to be stopping and continues chasing him. He knows that there is no way of fighting against the monster, as all he can do is roll, and even though the worm is weak, it's still much stronger than him, and he would have absolutely zero chance of winning against it. He decides to put his room temperature ick into use and starts leading the monster towards a cliff edge. Turns out that the monster was dumber than you in high school and actually falls for the bait. Ilu immediately pushes it off the cliff, but ends up falling down alongside it. This could have spelled the end for him, but luckily he ends up falling on the monster and not the ground, which cushions him from the worst of it. but still deals a good amount of damage to himself. He rolls over hoping that this would be the end, but the worm gives him one final scare before calling it quits and rolling over to die. Ilu takes a deep breath, thanking God for giving him the chain to live, when suddenly Siri speaks up once again, telling him that he got a bunch of points for killing the monster, and also surviving the fall, which maxed his level cap at level 5. And for gaining further levels, he first needs to undergo evolution. Siri shows him 2 routes to go on the evolution tree, one being the baby dragon, and one being the little dragon. He is a little confused about the difference between the 2 breeds, but thankfully Siri comes through with the explanation and tells him that the little dragon is a fearsome breed of dwarf dragons who are smaller compared to other dragon species, but are pretty strong and can grow as big as a bear. The adventurers avoid them as they are afraid of the fire-breathing attack. Compared to that, the baby dragon is simply a dragon baby which is known for its tender meat and oftentimes hunted by adventurers and other monsters, as they are easy to catch and make up for an incredibly stew. On the off chance that the baby dragon survives to be an adult, they can actually grow up to be a wide variety of very strong dragon breeds, but most of them never live to see that day. Ilu realizes that the world is too damn depressive and at first thinks about going the route to become a little dragon, because that will mean that he can be safe from the get-go and won't have to worry about getting no-scoped the moment he walks near a monster or an adventurer. He was about to choose the little dragon when suddenly his inner voice clicks in and tells him to go for the baby dragon. At first even he was confused, not knowing why exactly would the baby dragon would be a better choice. But suddenly he realizes that the little dragon is basically a short king, which means that his chances of getting a match on Tinder is slim to none. Whereas if he becomes a baby dragon and manages to become 6 feet plus, he would get all the huzz and would be swimming in Mad Kitty. The moment he chooses to be a baby dragon, something changes within him and the egg hatches, and he emerges as a yellow dragon hatchling and realizes that his stats seem to have gone up. But his HP is still not full, which means he needs to ease up and rest so he can regain everything back. He turns towards the worm and thanks him for his evolution when suddenly his stomach starts grumbling. This confuses him as he is not Bear Grylls and can't eat shit and piss for survival. But he thinks about all the huzzes he can rizz up with his height, so he decides to go for it as he needs the protein. He starts devouring the entire worm and then takes a long deep sleep to recover all the HP he lost. The next day when he wakes up, he thinks about his dream where he was still a human and starts wondering how exactly did he get reincarnated here, and who exactly he was back when he used to be a human. Before he could think all that through though, he turns around to find a bunch of worm monsters getting ready to attack him. Since he is now a dragon, though, he decides to take them on and starts absolutely destroying them with the moves he learned in Dagestan after his father sent him for 2-3 years and forgot. With every single kill, he gains more experience points and soon ends up unlocking even more offensive capabilities. He starts using his fire breath to roast any monsters that come in his way and soon levels up to level 7, gaining the ability of a dragon punch, which lets him cover his fist in a fireball and destroy any monster who comes in front of him. After finishing the last monster with a chokehold, his stomach starts rumbling once again. He thinks about eating worms again, but he doesn't feel like starting his day with dogshit food, so he decides to try something else and goes on the Mike Tyson diet of shrooms. Unfortunately, not everyone is built like Iron Mike, and Ilu starts puking like my ex on a girl's only night out before she goes to a stranger's house. He decides that he needs to find a new source of food, as no way in hell is he going to a damn ugly assworm. Just then he spots a gray wolf running ahead in front of him, and he immediately decides to throw hands. He starts running alongside the wolf, and even though the animal was bigger than him, Ilu knew that he will win thanks to his superior stats. He doesn't even give the wolf a chance to do anything as Ilu uses his dragon breath to incapacitate the wolf, followed by a fiery punch which utterly destroys the wolf and turns him into a slow roast. He wonders whether the taste would be like a barbecue, and to his surprise the taste is just like a grilled steak. This gives him another reason to start hunting these animals, and finally finds another old wolf that he smokes with a single fiery punch and starts roasting with the help of his fiery breath. He realizes that if he can level up till level 25, that would give him the opportunity to evolve once again. While eating his meal alone, he starts wanting someone to talk to who is not a damned AI assistant, and just then he overhears some voices coming from the forest. He realizes that these voices are definitely those of humans and immediately rushes off to investigate. He soon spots a group of 3 adventurers walking through the jungle and checks their stats, realizing that none of them are above his levels, which means they shouldn't pose a threat to him. But because there are 3 of them, they can definitely overwhelm him. He decides to take the risk though, as he thinks he is too cute for humans to not like him, and they would probably want to be friends with him. Thinking that, he emerges from behind the tree and immediately starts acting all cute, hoping that the humans will immediately fall in love with him. But he gets a cruel realization when the leader of the group grabs his sword and delivers an aerial slash that hits him squarely on the chest, pushing him to the ground as blood trickles down his body. Before he could even think about escaping, he gets hit by the magician's spell, which delivers him a shock strong enough to completely make his body numb. He thinks about what a dumb idiot he has been for thinking that he can trust the humans, and now he will have to pay the price by giving away his life. He tries to creep away, but it's of no use as his body can't even move an inch. He gets ready to die, but as the leader gets ready to stab him to death, the healer girl jumps in between and saves his life. The leader has an argument with him, but then he leaves her be and moves ahead. The girl named Murph starts casting a healing spell on him and slowly but surely heals him back to enough health that he can move around. Before he could even properly thank her though, they hear a blood-curdling scream coming from the direction where the other adventurers went, and Ilu is sure that something has gone really wrong and that a powerful monster is nearby in the area. The healer immediately turns around and tries to run in the same direction, but Ilu stops her as he knows that whatever monster is hiding inside the forest is stronger than her and is probably going to kill her as well, especially because she already used all her mana to heal him. He is too weak from the injuries, though Somer slips past and tells him to take care before rushing in the forest. Ilu curses himself for being so helpless and useless. He somehow manages to power through his paralysis and starts running in the forest when he suddenly comes face to face against a giant rock dragon, which is at least 10 times as strong as himself. He spots the girl lying on the ground unconscious near its feet, but before he could even try to help, the dragon smells him out and turns around to end his life, once and for all. Ilu is too stunned to move as fear grips his body, while the stone dragon lunges at him with his entire body. To his surprise, Ilu's body seemingly moves on its own instinctively and saves him from certain death as he jumps out of the way. He immediately hides behind some bushes while thinking about how stupid he was to think that even if he fought alongside the humans they could have defeated this monstrosity. He knows that if he takes any major hits from that monster, he is definitely going to get erased from the face of this planet. He peeks over to find Myria and realizes that she is still alive and is clinging on to life with barely any HP. To his horror, the rock dragon decides to move back towards Mar in order to finish her off, which makes him forget all about his fears and he gets ready to try and save her. Before he could rush at the monster though, the divine voice urges him to run away, claiming that interaction would not be worth it, and there is a good amount of chance that he will not survive this altercation. This stops him in his tracks as he thinks about how Siri is correct, as he has no skills or ability which can help him deal with this monstrosity, and the safest choice would be to simply run away and live to fight another day. Before he could make a decision though, the memory of Mer saving his life and healing him rushes into his brain, and he decides that he is not leaving her alone, and he is either going to save her or die trying. He rushes at the dragon, and when the dragon tries to attack him, he remembers his skills as an egg and starts rolling around, which saves his life. And he jumps in the air, before bonking into the dragon a little and creating some distance between them. He immediately checks around for the other humans in the party and realizes that the old mage is dead and nothing can be done about it. But the swordsman seems to be still hanging on to his life with slim margin. The rock dragon starts chasing Ilu once again, but he is good at rolling around and starts evading the monster and hitting it back to back in the hopes of buying some time and saving the remaining adventurers. Just when he thought that his plan seems to be working, and maybe he could save the humans, the rock dragon hits him with an earth-bending spell which creates a shockwave through the ground, creating huge spikes that hit Ilu and knock him down to the ground. He realizes that he can't keep evading the attacks and decides to fight back. The rock dragon tries to attack him, but this time Ilu goes on the counteroffensive and tries to land a blazing fiery punch to its face, hoping to get a critical hit. At first he thought that the attack was effective, but to his horror, he realizes that not only did the attack barely do any damage, but the dragon seems to be recovering his lost HP all over again. He still uses this opportunity to immediately grab the Huz, as he knows he can only save one person at the time. He immediately starts running away from the monster after dodging its attack and runs straight into the deep jungle and puts her down to safety. He realizes that she is still losing HP and he must find a way to get her health back up. He tries to replicate what the girl did before to heal him, but obviously nothing happens. He immediately decides to change the plan and find a proper place where the girl can be safer from the elements before night comes. He starts sniffing the air kissed by the sunset as he tries to find a familiar scent to follow. Suddenly, he picks up a faint smell of humans coming from a direction and immediately starts following at full speed while carrying the girl on his back. His horror doesn't seem to end as a pack of gray wolves start chasing him around in the hopes of getting some quick and easy food. Ilu has come too far at this point, and he is not going to get devoured by a bunch of glorified puppies after literally surviving a damn dragon. He puts the huzz down near the tree and turns around to deal with the wolves. Usually, he dealt with wolves one at a time, but this time he was forced to fight against a whole pack, that too when he was already injured. He fights off against all the wolves valiantly and continues to defend the girl at the cost of his own body as he keeps getting hit, but manages to fend off the wolves and takes her on his back again, moving through the forests, bruised and battered. About to reach his limit, he soon finds his way back to a human village, which makes him happy, as all he needs to do now is get Mer some help, so she can regain her health. He starts screaming on top of his lungs and manages to attract a bunch of villagers to his location. Unfortunately for him, the villagers can't understand what he is saying and are scared of him. He tries to make them understand that he means no harm, but one of them shanks him in the leg with a homemade spear. He realizes that he will find no help here, as the entire village sees him as a threat. He quickly puts her back to the ground and immediately starts running away as the villagers get ready to attack him once again. He manages to dodge everyone and escapes back into the forest, while the villagers quickly get Mer to safety and call for the local healer to help her. Ilu is happy that at the very least he saves her life and starts limping back into the forest. Mer wakes up 2 days later at the house of the local healer named Marie, who tells her that she was knocked out for 2 days straight. Mer wonders who exactly brought her back to the village, as she was damn sure she would have died there. But Marie claims that she has no idea about that. Mer asks where are the other party members, and Marie replies that the old mage is dead, while their leader, Daz, was never found on the scene, which means that he probably got devoured by the dragon with only blood around the area as evidence. Mer immediately starts crying, claiming that if she stopped Daz from going ahead, he might still have been alive. But Marie tells her not to worry, as Daz was not a person who would listen to others. Mer remembers that Daz was a little brash, but he was a nice person and was always the first to take any monsters who tried to threaten the village. He was also good with children and always gave them good advice. The only problem was his obsession with the rock dragon, because when he was younger, he encountered the dragon and ended up running away. That's when he decided to take on the monster and kill it to remove any questions that anyone might have had about him. He decides to take on the old mage and his team, but knew that Marie would never allow or agree to go with them as the healer, so they tricked Mer by claiming that Marie told them to take her instead. Mer was not willing to go as the rock dragon is too dangerous to tackle, but with some emotional blackmail they managed to coax her to get in their party. She regrets her decision of not alerting the other villagers, but there is nothing she could do now. She remembers a faint memory of the dragon that she saved, helping her reach back the village, but Marie has no idea how she got here, and she just knows that there was a monster attacking her, but she blondie villager managed to save her with his spear. Back in the forest, Ilu finally managed to revive his HP and is feeling much better now. He wonders how Mer is and whether she has recovered, but also remembers the sense of powerlessness he felt in the face of the rock dragon, which reminds him that he is still one of the weakest things in this forest and must grow strong as quickly as possible. He soon decides to use his brain more and uses a worm monster as bait and hangs it from the tree. Immediately, a bunch of worms from the area gather to see what's up, and Ilu uses that opportunity to punch them to shit. He continues to destroy each and every monster that came in his way, whether by punching them, or biting them, or using his fire attacks to roast them into a crisp. Once he was done with the slaughter, he finally managed to reach level 25, which means that he has achieved another point in his evolution. Siri shows him the evolution tree, and he realizes that he has 5 choices going ahead. Some of them are little dragons, which he is definitely not choosing, even though they mature early, but in the long run they won't be as strong as compared to the others. The angel dragon is very strong, but mostly has defensive and healing capabilities just like Mer had. The kid dragon is the next direct evolution step from the baby dragon, and he would soon surely become an adult dragon if he keeps at it. And the other option is a mutated kid dragon which has better magic spells. Finally, the last option is the Dark Plague Dragon, which is known for causing death and destruction, and can transform into humans at will. At first, Ilu immediately rejects the option of the Plague Dragon, since that would be the more evil path. But suddenly he realizes that human transformation means that he can actually go to the human village and reunite with Mer once again. With this, he starts mulling over his decision, stressed out as this decision would be one of the most important decisions of his life. The confusion about what path he should choose for his evolution starts driving Ilu mad, and he starts making sounds like my constipated dog as he tries to come to a conclusion. In the end, he decides that he is really worried about Mer and wants to see her again. He feels that if he can learn human transformation skill, he can live a good life even if he is a plague dragon. And if that doesn't work out like most startups on Shark Tank, he can go back to being a dragon. With that, Ilu chooses to become a young plague dragon, and his color scheme changes from yellow to purple. He becomes something that looks like the Mega Charizard Y, and he feels that he does indeed look quite evil. He begins doing a double take on his decision, but then Siri tells him that his skill view status has leveled up, and now he can see the details of his skills. Ilu immediately gets rid of his doubts on hearing that, and Siri tells him that he has unlocked more skills called Fly and Dragon Scale Powder. His typing has changed to Dark, and now his normal skills have evolved to have Poison and Curse element damage. He has also got some titles called Wrongdoer and Calamity, and the more Ilu hears about that, the more he regrets choosing this form. On top of that, he didn't get the promised human transformation skill, and just like any Karen, Ilu starts lashing at Siri and asking to see her manager. He says that this is not what he was told and asks if he needs to level up to receive the human transformation skill. However, Siri once again hides that feature behind paywall and tells Ilu that she can't answer that question unless he buys the premium subscription. Ilu feels disappointed and scammed because he has become a flying calamity instead of a human. However, the silver lining is that he can now see the details of his own skills, and the first thing he decides to check out is Siri, officially named Divine Voice. Well, Siri gatekeeps that data as usual, and Ilu was low-key expecting that. He then asks her about the new skill Dragon Scale Powder, and Siri tells him that he can release toxic scales from his wings that can seriously weaken any living creature and even kill them. At the max level, he can wipe out entire nations just by flying over them. Ilu sees the example of that instantly as a flower near him shrivels and dies because of his scale powder, and he curses Siri for making him a bioweapon when he just wanted to become human and rizz up the huzz. Now he is sure that no human will try to come close to him, and then begins checking out other skills that are just as fearsome. The next skill is Diseased Breath that changes his fire breath into an attack that spreads diseases that are extremely lethal and can wipe out entire civilizations at max level. Ilu starts panicking because he can't get any more ready for being a villain than this, and wonders if there is any way he can change his evolution now. He decides to check his titles because they might influence his skills and growth, and Siri tells him that he is right. His first title is the Itty Bitty Hero, which is given to those who show a small amount of courage and do the right thing in face of danger. It may greatly influence his evolution direction, and one day make him a true hero. Ilu is relieved to hear that, but then he hears the details about his other titles. The title Wrongdoer is for villains who leave a mountain of corpses behind them and take pride in their body count. It increases the damage of dark-type attacks and makes it difficult to learn white magic spells. It also reduces recovery rate and has a great influence on his evolution path. This is the final nail in the coffin for Ilu, and he begins whining and crying that he wants to return to being a baby dragon again. Back in the village, Marie is checking the warding stones placed all around the village to make sure they are working properly. Those stones create a barrier that subconsciously discourages monsters from entering the village. But they can't work against strong-willed monsters or monsters that have a goal. Mer thinks that the dragon who saved her life must come in that category, but she is not sure if he really wanted to save her or was that a coincidence. Marie can't comment on that because she didn't see the dragon, but she doesn't want monsters to enter the village because of a faulty barrier. She finishes recharging all the ward stones, and then suddenly, Mer asks her to teach her more about monsters. Marie is curious about why Mer is so interested in monsters ever since that incident. Ma replies that she feels that a dragon saved her the other day, and Marie asks her if she is developing feelings for a monster, because that is gross. Mer panics and says it is nothing like that, and Marie decides to let it go. She agrees that Mer should learn about monsters and starts explaining that monsters can defeat other creatures to level up and evolve into more powerful monsters. Humans also have the system to level up and improve their skills, but they cannot evolve into a new species like monsters. Mur is surprised by this and says that she has never heard this before, but this makes Marie mad because she taught all this to her 11 years ago. Mur argues that she was only 5 years old at that time and 11 years might not be a big deal for an elf, but it is a lot for humans. Marie continues her lecture, saying that from time to time, there are special people who can hear a divine voice, and they are the ones who found about leveling up and other things. Marie says that monsters fight to survive, and they always try to become stronger through evolution, because that helps them live longer. She tells Mur that the dragon might have saved her life, but the next time she meets him, he will have evolved into something more dangerous and might even attack her. Mur yells at Marie for scaring her like this, but the elf lady just tells her not to have any expectations from a monster because they are not compatible with humans. At the same time, Ilu has accepted his fate in the forest, and he decides to level up as quickly as he can to turn back to the path of being a good dragon. However, his main priority is still turning into a human so that he can meet Mur again. He begins searching for a weak monster that will drop a lot of experience points when suddenly, he feels his movements becoming slower. Ilu realizes that he is covered in webs that are slowing him down, and only after that does he realize that he walked into a trap laid by a spider. Just then, a huge spider jumps out of the bushes and hisses at him. Ilu freaks out on seeing that it has very high stats compared to him, but he can't run away because he is trapped. The spider squirts a bunch of webs from its butt towards Ilu, who counters it with his fire breath, burning the web and also dealing damage to the spider. However, the web covering his body also catches fire, and he rolls on the ground until Ciri tells him that he has acquired the skill Flame Resistance. Ilu gets up to fight and finds that his attack didn't do much damage to the spider, so he decides to use his paralyzing claws against it. And despite numerous slashes that cause the spider to bleed, Ilu finds that it still has half of its health bar full. On top of that, the spider monster is enraged and Ilu decides to run away while it is still paralyzed. He starts rolling away speedily, but the spider monster recovers from the paralysis quickly and catches up to him. Ilu panics, but then remembers that he can fly using his new skill. He immediately jumps as high as he can and tries to fly away, but even a chicken with one wing can do better. He is back on the ground in no time because he can't use his skill properly yet, and in the end, he has to rely on rolling again. However, even after 10 minutes, the spider hasn't given up and Ilu wonders just how much stamina the damned monster has. Luckily, his rolling skill levels up just then, and now he can roll much faster. He also gets the title of Chicken Runner for running away like a coward, but Ilu values his life more than his pride. Soon, he is able to put some gap between himself and the spider, but then sees a wide cliff in front of him. Ilu's first instinct is to roll away to the side, but then he decides to trust his flight skill and leaps ahead at full speed. Thankfully, he is able to glide to the other side, and swears that once he is strong enough, he will return to end the spider's life. He is really exhausted now and decides to look at the spider one last time before taking off. However, the spider is nowhere to be seen, and then suddenly, Ilu sees a bridge made out of webs. The very next moment, the spider leaps to the surface and Ilu panics because he was not expecting this. He starts rolling away again, and his rolling skill levels up yet another time. An unfortunate gray wolf appears in his path and Ilu just rolls right at it, sending it flying and gaining bonus experience from defeating it like this. He goes directly to level 3 and keeps doing hit and runs on the clueless monsters in the forest, reaching level 8 in no time. Ilu thinks that he is finally strong enough to take on the spider now, so he stops running and faces it head-on. The spider suddenly ejects a gust of poisonous gas from its body and Ilu jumps to a tree to avoid it. Even though he is resistant to poison, it really hurts his throat, and he decides to wait for the poison to clear. Meanwhile, the spider is waiting for the poison to kick in too, and Ilu gets an idea. He decides to use the oldest trick in the book and begins acting like the poison is weakening him. He falls to the ground and starts writhing like a fish out of water before acting completely still. The spider takes the bait and jumps on him, and just as he gets close enough, Ilu hits him with a full power fire breath and then slams him to the ground with his tail. The spider monster is defeated with that, and Ilu reaches level 14 immediately. His fire breath skill levels up, and he also gets a new skill called Dragon Tail. Ilu thinks that they are good developments, but he is more excited to see if he got the skill to become a human. Unfortunately, he doesn't get anything else and his frustration grows even more intense. At the end of the day, Ilu hunts a wolf and takes it with him to eat and rest. On the way, he finds a cave, and after he makes sure that no other monster is using it, he decides to make it his base. He roasts the wolf meat there and then decides to add the juice of some berries that smell like black pepper. Ilu finds that the berry juice really makes the meat taste better, and he even gets the title Mr. Chef for it. Ilu feels that the title has a nice ring to it, and he begins wondering if he can level up his cooking and win over humans with his delicious food. However, just one glance at his sharp poisonous claws makes him think otherwise. He feels that he was at least cute when he was a baby dragon, and the humans hated and feared him even then. Now that he literally looks like a menace, there is no chance they will even dare to come close to him. He feels that not even Mer will recognize him now, and thinks that this is what he gets for getting greedy and trying to become a human. He yells at the sky, asking God to at least give him the human transformation skill, even if he is going to keep evolving as a plague dragon. Back in the village, Mer learns from an old drunkard that Dawes is still alive. She eagerly asks him to tell her all the details, and the old man tells her that he was out fishing when he saw Dawes walking in the woods, looking exhausted and famished. He didn't notice anything and kept muttering to himself before vanishing into the forest. Other villagers think that the old geezer was just hungover and imagined Dawes, but Mer gets hopeful and immediately goes to Marie to talk about it. She wants to go to the forest to search for Dawes, but Marie refuses to put her or any other villagers in danger. She makes Mer give up on the idea as well by suggesting that she will talk to the Adventurers Guild about it. But she knows how much Mer wants to save Dawes if he is really alive. Next day in the forest, Ilu wakes up refreshed, and he decides to hunt more monsters to level up quickly. Suddenly, he sees a moving puddle in front of him and realizes that it is a monster that doesn't look strong. He decides to hunt it to farm experience, but as he tries to view its stats, his eyes start burning and Siri tells him that he can't access this information yet. Ilu starts screaming in pain and wonders what the hell is the weird monster that can hurt him so much just by looking at it. Suddenly, his skill to view status levels up, and he can briefly see that the slime monster has ridiculously high stats, and he falls to the ground in shock. Ilu wonders what kind of creature has such insane stats, when suddenly, the monster slime notices him and shoots a tentacle in his direction. Ilu manages to run away just in time, and once he reaches the forest, he realizes that the creepy slime didn't actually have that high stats, and he misread things earlier. However, it is too creepy, so he decides to leave it alone for the time being. He decides to search for his targets in another direction today when he suddenly notices a pot hidden in the bushes. Ilu thinks that it might be good to keep fruits, but as soon as he touches it, the pot jumps him in the air because it is not an object but a monster called Potortus. Ilu sees that its stats are nothing special, so he attacks the Potortus with a flame punch, but that doesn't do any significant damage. This motivates Ilu to give it his all, and he bombards the monster with attacks. However, the pot monster has reached peak nonchalant, and it recovers HP by resting even when Ilu is attacking it. No matter what he does, the hard shell of the monster protects it from all damage, so Ilu decides to switch to creative mode. He throws the monster into the river, and that works as the monster sinks to its death. Ilu gets the experience points from it and levels up, but he gets a new title called Dastardly King, and his wrongdoer title levels up as well. He feels bad about going even further on the villain route when suddenly, a bunch of pot monsters surround him. Ilu realizes that they came when the first monster used the cry skill to summon them, and they are all really angry. They huddle together and Ilu thinks they are going to transform into some sort of ultimate monster, but instead, they transform into a tall tower that looks really unstable. Ilu flies up and picks the topmost monster before dunking it on the tower, and defeating all the monsters in one go. He learns a new skill called Meteorite by doing that along with 600 experience points that takes him straight to level 30. His skills also level up as a result, and he is happy about that. But unfortunately, the shells break after he defeats the monsters, and he doesn't have a single usable pot. He decides to use the monsters for meat instead, but then starts thinking that he needs more veggies in his diet. As he walks ahead, he sees the sky looking purple and some weird footsteps coming from nearby. Ilu gets curious and follows the direction of the footsteps that lead him to a bear that is minding its own business and going on a stroll. Ilu asks Siri about his stats, and she tells him that he is too far away to see its stats, but he can see details about its species. The bear is a D+ rank monster called a clay bear. It is made out of mud, and is powerful with a high recovery rate. Ilu realizes that the monster is at the same rank as him, and he wonders if he can defeat it in a fair fight. However, the bigger reason he wants to fight the clay bear is because if it is really made out of clay, he can use it to make pots and other stuff. Ilu can't let this golden chance get away from his toxic paws, and he chases after the bear monster, who doesn't seem to notice him at all. He decides to launch a sneak attack and lunges at the clay bear from behind, but it turns around at the last moment. showing deadly spikes erupting from its chest. Ilu barely avoids getting stabbed by those spikes, and he jumps back, saying that the monster doesn't deserve to be called a bear with those deadly spikes. The bear decides to body slam Ilu, who dodges and hits him with a rolling attack. He manages to take down a good chunk of its health bar, but the bear immediately uses a heal skill to restore the health bar fully. Ilu realizes that he can't one-shot the bear, and he can only rely on hit and run tactics till it is out of mana to heal itself. He keeps on dodging the clay bear's deadly spikes while dealing damage to it, and when he thinks that its healing factor is slowing down, Ilu moves in for a finishing blow. Suddenly, the clay bear creates a sandstorm around itself, and when the storm ends, it has spikes on its back too. Ilu calls the clay bear a hacker, because now he has no way to use his roll attack. Luckily, the clay bear has lost most of its mana after fighting for too long and using heavy skills, and Ilu decides to wear him down just a bit more. Suddenly, the bear tears off its arm and yeets it at Ilu, who dodges it and finds that the arm turns into normal clay after separating from the main body. The clay bear keeps shooting spikes at him that turn to clay as well, and Ilu suddenly gets an idea. He charges ahead at the bear and uses his claws to tear off its arm. It turns to clay as usual, and Ilu quickly rolls it into a ball and then flies high up. He thinks that if he hits the clay bear with a meteorite skill, it won't be enough, so he decides to improvise and puts his entire body weight behind the meteorite skill. The attack manages to tear through the clay bear's body, and Ilu earns 300 experience points that take him to level 33. He also gets a skill called Nutcracker because that is what he did just now. He is really exhausted now, but at least he has got some clay that he uses to make pots and jars. He also makes a furnace and then puts the pots there to be baked, and in the meantime decides to catch some dinner. He decides to forage for some veggies and mushrooms, and finds a thunder mushroom that is nutritious and tasty, but it has a mild paralyzing poison. Ilu is not resistant to paralysis yet, so he throws it away and then thanks his leveled up Siri for giving him more details. After that, he comes across a giant flower, but just as he is about to appraise it, the flower attacks him. Ilu panics, but then manages to tear the flower from its stem, killing it. Siri tells him that it is a carnivorous plant that eats animals, but it can't digest salt and deposits it in its root. That is the most valuable thing Ilu could find to improve his dining experience, and he takes the salt-filled bulb home. On the other hand, Mor disobeys Marie and steps beyond the barrier that protects the village to find Dawes. She is ready to face any risks as long as she can find him and bring him back safely, even though she doubts that the old drunk can be trusted. She remembers how Dawes blackmailed her into joining his party and thinks that if she had just stopped him, both he and the old guy would be alive now. Suddenly, a worm monster attacks her, and Mor immediately uses a fireball to defeat it, and reminds herself to stay calm no matter what happens. Meanwhile, Ilu finds a huge monster mushroom that can walk and attack people after reaching maturity, and it tastes quite delicious. He adds it to his list of ingredients and then finds another weird mushroom, and Siri tells him that it is a rank mushroom that is really valuable and it can support the economy of an entire nation if cultivated properly. Ilu starts dreaming of rolling in cash after hearing that, but when Siri tells him that the mushroom is a potent drug that can get everyone addicted to it, he immediately changes his mind. He burns the mushrooms away so that no one can fall to addiction, and his title of Itty Bitty Hero levels up. After that, he finds pepperberries in the wild, and Siri tells him that once upon a time, it was the most sought-after spice in the world, and it was worth its weight in gold. Ilu immediately harvests all the pepper, and at the same time, Mor ventures deep into the forest, hiding from monsters somehow. She realizes that she is too deep in the danger zone already, and if she walks further, she might face something out of her league. So she decides to head home after looking at the outskirts of the village again. Later that night, Ilu uses the light mushroom to lighten up his cave and then checks out the pots he had set to bake. They are made perfectly, and he uses them to prepare a stew with the ingredients he has collected today. Thanks to salt and mushrooms, the food tastes even better, and Ilu begins talking like he is a food critic even though he basically knows nothing about cooking. He talks about how the salt is bringing out the umami flavors of the dish, and then creates chopsticks to eat, which are already the trickiest way to eat food even if you have human hands instead of dragon claws. Thanks to putting salt in the dish, Ilu's title as a chef goes from level 1 to level 2. He suddenly notices that the bowl he is using is a bit difficult to drink from, and it spills some of the stew as well. He decides to level up his pottery skills as well and plans to make a new bowl as well as other cutlery items the next day. He even starts dreaming of coating the barren walls of the cave with clay bricks, and Ciri tells him that he has earned the title of ceramic artisan too now. The next day, a carriage heads to the village next to the forest, and two pretty adventurers come out of it to investigate the forest. They wonder if they can really find a survivor in the forest, but the guild has given them a job, so they need to complete it. Back in the forest, Ilu has started to furnish his cave with clay furniture. He hunts the wolves and brings them back to the cave to process them. One side of his cave is full of the fur he took out from the wolves, and Ilu decides to dry it later, because first he needs to season the meat and leave it to dry for colder seasons. He is pretty satisfied with his progress and thinks that he is getting used to this new world, but as he goes outside to collect the meat jerky, he finds monkeys eating it. Ilu gets furious and chases the monkeys away, but that makes him realize that he needs to find a permanent solution to this problem, or he will lose all his meat reserves. He gets an idea and decides to cook up high-grade poison like the Great Walter White so that he can coat the meat jerky in it and kill the monkeys. While he is busy collecting dangerous ingredients from all over the forest, Ilu suddenly realizes that now he can tell apart poisonous mushrooms and plants just by glancing at them without Ciri's help, which is the first instance of humans taking AI jobs. After that, he stumbles on a flower field and decides to take some flowers to decorate his cave because there should be at least one pretty thing to look at in everyone's life. However, as he is daydreaming about a pretty cave, a cute little monster pops up in front of him. Ilu is taken aback to see it and asks Ciri about it. He learns that the cute mongoose is called the Poison Princess and all of its skills revolve around poison. Ilu is a bit terrified of it, but the monster seems scared as well and runs away. Suddenly, a piece of clay falls nearby, distracting Ilu, and using that chance, the Poison Princess bites him and then runs away. Ilu can't understand its strategy until the poison starts to show effect. He feels incredibly weak and can't move the shoulder where he was bitten, and Ciri tells him that his poison resistance skill has leveled up. Ilu realizes that the Poison Princess has much stronger poison than anything he has ever faced, and he passes out as the little monster snickers menacingly. Ilu finds that he is inflicted with special poison, but when he asks Ciri about what makes it different from regular poison, he gets the same old answer that he cannot gain such high-level information right now. He tries to get up and leave the place, but as soon as he lifts his shoulder up, the poison spreads even faster inside his body. Ilu feels another pang of weakness and realizes that his situation is worsening as time passes. He wonders if there are any plants nearby that can treat poison, but he can't remember seeing anything like that. Suddenly, he gets an idea and decides to learn more about the monster that poisoned him, because that can give him some hints about what to do. Ciri tells him that the Poison Princess is a crafty monster that poisons its prey and then runs away, waiting for them to die a painful death. The monster then returns to feast on the dead creature, and Ilu thinks that this creature is even worse than him. Ciri tells him that the source of the monster's poison is the poisonous plants and insects it consumes, but its body fluids act as an antidote so that it doesn't die from its own poison. The monster is really intelligent, and whenever it gets caught, it uses the antidote to bargain for its life. Ilu realizes that he just needs to capture the Poison Princess to get the antidote, but he doesn't have a surefire method to do that. He decides to take a chance and runs away because he can still move a little. He is sure that the Poison Princess won't let her prey get away and will keep chasing after him. He keeps his senses sharp as he runs and soon spots the poisonous lizard jumping from tree to tree while following him. As soon as Ilu spots it, he starts rolling to chase after it, but surprisingly, the monster can use roll too. She keeps her distance from Ilu, who realizes that they are heading straight towards the cliff and he can corner the monster there. Suddenly, he hits something and comes to an abrupt stop. Ilu realizes that the Poison Princess shot a clay bullet at him, even while rolling, and he is low-key impressed. However, he immediately resumes the chase and keeps moving forward even as he gets hit by clay shards. His rolling skill levels up as a result, allowing him to catch up to the poisonous lizard, and he knocks her into the air, thinking that now he just needs to catch her. Unfortunately, he didn't see his surroundings before doing that, and his attack has thrown the Poison Princess straight down the cliff. Ilu panics on realizing that he may lose his antidote, and he dives after the Poison Princess, but just then, the poison starts affecting him even more seriously. Despite the burning pain throughout his body, Ilu grabs the terrified monster and then uses his fire breath to fly back to the surface. However, just as he hits the ground, the poison reaches its last stage, and he feels like he will die any minute now. Despite being moments away from death, Ilu is glad that he managed to save the poisonous lizard. And then he loses consciousness, leaving the Poison Princess to do her job. On the other side, Mur is still looking for Dawes in the forest, but she can't find any clue. As she returns to the village empty-handed in the evening, she finds Mary there, asking where was she because she couldn't find her all day. Mur lies that she was not feeling good, so she went on a walk, and now she is feeling much better. Mary crosses the river and asks her if she is going inside the forest to look for Dawes, and Mur lies again, saying that she never went inside the forest. Mary decides to believe her lie, and then tells her not to stress out too much because she has news that the adventurers dispatched by the guild will reach them soon. Back in the forest, Ilu suddenly returns to his senses and wonders what is going on. It takes a few seconds for him to realize that he was poisoned and waiting to die. But then he finds the poison princess in front of him. He gets furious, thinking that she is shamelessly waiting for him to die, but as he tries to punch her, he finds that his body is no longer heavy and hurting. He wonders if the poisonous lizard saved him by giving him the antidote, and she proudly affirms. Ilu has no reason to doubt her now, and he happily picks up the little creature, saying that they have forged an unbreakable bond by fighting and then saving each other's life. The lizard hugs him playfully, and Ilu decides to adopt her as his friend. He takes her to his cave and cooks food for both of them, and the poison princess enjoys eating cooked and seasoned meat. Ilu wonders what to call her because she doesn't have a name yet, but then he decides that monsters like them don't need a name, and they are just fine like this. The lizard snuggles with him, and Ilu realizes that she has gotten attached to him. He tells her that she can stay with him as long as she likes because she is his first friend, and she is really happy to hear that. After that, the lizard Lace sees a pot giving off a foul smell, and Ilu tells her that it is a special poison he is cooking. As soon as she hears that, Lace jumps on top of the pot and starts gulping the poison. Ilu is worried about her, but then he recalls that she can make her own poison stronger by eating poisonous things. He wonders if it tastes good and tastes just a tiny bit of the poison that makes him spaz like a fish out of water, and his poison resistance skill levels up. He wonders how can Lace eat this thing like it is gourmet shit, but she just gives him a confused look. The next day, Ilu takes Lace with him to hunt some gray wolves. He taunts the wolves by flipping them the bird, and as they charge towards him, Lace knocks them out using her clay shards. Ilu finishes the job and kills the wolves, and then high-fives Lace for their perfect teamwork. Later, Lace helps him harvest some coconuts they enjoy, and they watch the sunset together before returning to the cave. As they sleep, Ilu finds Lace resting too close to his face, and he is reminded that despite being cute and friendly now, she is the most dangerous enemy he has ever faced. He asks her not to bite him while she is half asleep, and feels that they are going to stay together for a long time now. The next day, Ilu takes Lace to the place where the pepper berries grow and makes her taste. Her reaction tells him that she doesn't like spice that much, but then suddenly, she jumps down from his head and starts leading him towards something she finds better. Ilu eagerly follows her, forgetting that his new toxic girlfriend likes poisonous stuff. Lace leads him to a giant mushroom that emits smells like decaying corpses, and Ilu stays 10 feet away from it. He asks Siri about the mushroom and learns that it is a bee mushroom that is highly poisonous. Ilu understands why Lace wants to eat it, but he doesn't want her to carry that foul stench with her to their cave, so he burns the entire mushroom. Lace is devastated on seeing her version of a Michelin star dish burn to the ground, and she starts hitting Ilu for ruining her dinner. He promises to make it up to her with a different poisonous plant later, but she suddenly points a shard of clay at him. Ilu asks if she is so mad at him, but Lace shoots it at the bushes behind him, and suddenly, a horrifying two-headed monster comes out. Ilu feels nervous and intimidated in front of the two-faced hound with tribal tattoos all over its body, and he finds that the monster has pretty high stats along with some tough-sounding skills. He wants to run away, but as he sees that the two-faced monster puppy has the ability to mark its target and follow them, he decides to stay back and fight. Lace is thinking the same thing, and she rolls away while Ilu is holding the monster's attention. He plans to attack the monster from the front to distract it, while Lace will deliver the final blow with her poison. He charges ahead to punch one of the dog's heads, but the other head comes forward in defense and pushes him back. The weeping dog then uses gravity magic on Ilu, making him crawl on the ground under his increased weight. He realizes that he can't even move in this situation and fears the worst as the two-headed monster approaches him. But luckily, Lace distracts it by shooting clay shards at it. Ilu quickly seizes this chance to use fire breath on the monster, but it heals any damage it took with a healing spell. Ilu wants to crash out at this, but by now, he has realized that the weeping head does magic attacks while the angry head does physical attacks. Suddenly, the monster prepares another gravity magic attack, and Ilu charges ahead to stop it. he lets the angry head bite him. And that is Lace's cue to dive in and use her poison on the weeping dog. She retreats with Ilu and watches the monster's health decrease despite using recovery magic, and Ilu is confident that they have won. Then suddenly, the angry dog face bites off the weeping head to stop the poison from spreading, and Ilu swears to never become a two-headed monster. He thinks that at least they won't have to deal with magic attacks anymore, but as he views the stats of his enemy, he finds that it has one last trump card. It has awakened the skill called Sacrifice that allows the severed head to leap forward and attack Lace. She manages to dodge the attack somehow, and Ilu tells her to run away as fast as she can. Lace starts rolling away with the berserk dog head still chasing after her, but Ilu can't go to help her because the main body of the monster is still standing in his way. He wastes no time and rushes forward to rattle the monster's brain with a punch to its head, and then grabs its neck to toss it high up in the air. Ilu jumps high to grab the monster's head and hit it with a nutcracker, brutally ending its life. Now, he gets worried about Lace and hopes that she is fine because he doesn't want to lose the only friend he has in this world. He immediately starts looking for her and soon finds a puddle of blood that gets him extremely worried. He begins calling Lace and asking if she is nearby, and she responds to his howling cries by crawling out from the bushes, severely injured and weak. Ilu's heart sinks on seeing her like that, and just then, the severed head of the dog monster charges at her to finish the job. This time, Ilu is there to protect her, and he kicks the monster's head away before furiously punching it into a fine paste. Once he is done getting revenge for Lace, he goes back to her and gently holds her in his arms. He is glad that she is still alive despite the injuries and starts crying, thinking that he would have lost everything if he lost her. Lace weakly licks his tears to comfort him, when suddenly Ciri tells Ilu that he has received experience points from defeating the monster and leveled up. Ilu doesn't want to hear its stupid soulless voice and tells it to shut up, saying that there is nothing more valuable to him than Lace right now. He doesn't even want the human transformation skill if he has her by his side. And that is when Ciri decides to hit him with the biggest case of irony she could manage. She tells Ilu that he has finally obtained the human transformation skill, and his mind goes completely blank on hearing that. At the same time, in the village, Mer is helping Marie out with the chores because the adventurers from the guild are going to arrive today. Mer is quite curious about the adventurers because they rarely get any visitors from the outside. Suddenly, she notices an awfully old-looking book on the table, and Marie tells her that it is a monster encyclopedia that she might like. Mer immediately opens the book and starts reading about the F-rank monster called Darkworm. Marie tells her that the rank of monsters is written in an ancient script that no one can read. F-rank monsters are quite weak, and even beginner adventurers can defeat them with enough guts. But when things come to D-rank monsters, it takes seasoned adventurers to face them off. The two-headed monster Ilu just beat is a D+ rank monster, and monsters ranked B and higher are so strong that only the heroes and saints can defeat them. The rock dragon that her party was trying to hunt is said to be a C-rank monster, but Marie believes that it became even stronger after evolving. Mer gets scared on hearing this, and just then, the two adventurers come there to start their investigation. A few minutes earlier, the furry girl Yuno and the blonde knight Melcia were headed towards Marie's house. Yuno asked Melcia why did she choose to go on a C-rank mission with just the two of them, because it can be difficult. She said that they should have waited for the rest of their party to join them, but Melcia believed that it would be easier with just the two of them, because if things get dicey, she could run away. Yuno was not really confident about her speed and told Melcia that she was a racist if she thought she is fast just because she is part dog. She took a second to realize that Melcia was talking about using her as a decoy, but she told her to chill out because that was only a joke. Their mission is to search the forest and not to fight any monsters, so it is easier than the difficulty ranking. Back to the present, they are inside Marie's house, and they are quite surprised to see an elf in a human village. Marie tells them that she is only half elf and half human, and that she has lived in the village for a long time. Mer brings tea for the guests, and Marie asks her to leave them alone for a bit because she doesn't want her to hear the details of the mission. With that, Melcia asks about the person they are supposed to look for, and Marie tells them the entire story about how Daz went missing in action and was later spotted by the village drunk. She asks them to find the truth behind the rumors and stop Mer from going into the forest on her own ever again. Soon, Melcia and Yuno head to the forest, thinking that they need to find proof that Daz is dead, because that would put an end to Mer's troubles as well as her hopes. Melcia says that in case they can't find a dead body, they can search the forest thoroughly, and not finding anything will be enough proof that Daz is not alive. Back in the forest, inside Ilu's cave, he covers Lace in medicinal herbs so that her injuries heal faster. She is asleep because of her injuries and exhaustion, so Ilu decides to leave her there while he goes out to check his stats. However, that is just an excuse he is making to himself when he wants to test out his human transformation skill and go to the human village to see Mer again. He somehow manages to get his excitement under control as he reaches the river, and thinks how ironic it was to get the human transformation skill right, as he thought he didn't need it. However, now he wonders if he will be able to properly live among humans without them getting suspicious. He doesn't want to part ways with Lace either, and wonders if there is a middle ground where he can get the best of both worlds. Ilu realizes that thinking too hard about it won't get him anywhere, and he activates the human transformation skill. He feels his body being pushed and pulled in different directions until his shape resembles a human. But to his disappointment, he still looks like a terrifying monster. He throws a tantrum and asks Siri if she calls this bullshit human transformation, and as always gets the answer that the truth is hidden behind a paywall. Ilu loses his shit over that, and checks his stats, which make him even more frustrated. In his so-called human transformation, his stats have been halved, and he is quickly using mana to maintain the stupid form. He gives up on transforming into a human and returns to his normal form, falling flat on the ground in desperation. On the other hand, Yuno and Meltia slay a giant spider monster on their way into the denser parts of the forest. They continue their search till sundown and realize that they should head back soon because the monsters are getting stronger the deeper they are going into the forest. Suddenly, they come out into a clearing with Ilu's cave at the other end, and their intuition immediately tells them that something is weird about the place. They reach the cave's entrance and find two statues guarding it. One is obviously a dragon, and the other one looks like a kid's drawing of his bald dad. Yuno wonders if there is a dragon-worshipping cult around here, but Meltia hasn't heard of anything like that. She can sense powerful magic coming from the statues, and Yuno uses her sharp nose to smell some meat jerky hanging from the trees. Both of them are sure that someone lives nearby, and they decide to check the cave while being fully cautious of any dangers. As soon as they reach the cave, they are greeted by an unexpected sight. There is light inside the cave, thanks to glowing mushrooms, and there are pots filled with delicious-smelling berries. Yuno says that the berries smell like pepper, which is still one of the most valuable items in the world, and she gets excited, telling Meltia that they should take some of it with them. Meltia tells her to drop that stupid idea, because she believes that this cave is a hideout of bandits, and they will be in trouble if they mess with them. Suddenly, they hear a sharp hissing sound and turn around to find Lace ready to attack them. Meltia tells Yuno to get away from the deadly monster that can kill them many times over with a single bite, and she is glad that Lace retreated without fighting. She decides to escape the cave before they run into anything more unusual, unaware that Ilu is waiting for them outside the cave with Lace. He spotted them going inside the cave earlier, and now he is impatiently pacing in front of the entrance, wondering what is going to happen. He wonders if the two baddies will be impressed by his lair and thinks that he should step in to introduce himself. However, the realization that he is a terrifying monster hits him harder than Truck Kun. He decides to turn to his human transformation skill again, hoping that the girls think that he is some kind of demi-human. However, his Delulu is as far from the truth as it can be, and the girls see him as a menacing plague dragon trying to attack them. Yuno is frozen stiff with fear, but Meltia tells her to pick her weapon if she wants to live. They attack Ilu with all their strength and slam him to the ground because he is too weak right now. Luckily, the girls don't think it is a good idea to fight against a plague dragon, and they run for their lives immediately. Ilu tries to stop them and explain that he is harmless, but of course no one is going to take any risks by staying in front of a super deadly monster. Yuno and Meltia take a break after they are far away from the cave. They realize that the mission is going to be tougher than they thought now, and they need more manpower to help them. Yuno asks if they should call the rest of their party, and Meltia affirms. The next day, as Ilu wakes up, he feels terrible after the incidents of the previous day. He wonders how to cheer himself up as he starts chewing on some jerky, when he suddenly gets an idea. He reaches out to Lace and asks her for a favor, saying that he needs to teach a lesson to the monkeys who steal his jerky. So he wants a strong poison that has no color, smell, or taste. That is not a big deal for Lace, who fills up a pot with poison that looks exactly like water. Ilu giggles menacingly as he dips the new batch of jerky in the poison and hangs it to dry. He waits for the monkeys to show up eagerly, but they take their sweet time. Ilu and Lace take a nap while waiting, but soon, they hear the ugly screeches of the monkeys. Ilu wakes up to find that one monkey has eaten the poison jerky, and now it is foaming at mouth while its friends are trying to wake it up. Ilu is pleased by this, but he knows this is not enough to seal the deal. He and Lace attack the monkeys, who get enraged and surround Ilu to launch a combo attack. Ilu has a combo attack as well, and he gives the signal to Lace, who fires clay shards at the monkeys, taking them by surprise and giving Ilu the chance to knock them with his tail. However, the monkeys are not done yet, and they let out a high-pitched whistle that makes Ilu and Lace go dizzy. He wonders what kind of skill are they using, and the answer becomes apparent as a giant and powerful ape comes running towards their location. Ilu realizes that the monkeys know they can't win, so they called their boss, who looks tough and menacing. He checks out the monster's stats and finds that they are equally matched. But the boss ape has skills to buff its underlings. As the boss ape starts using his skills to strengthen the monkeys, Ilu tries to finish the fight quickly by hitting him with a fire attack. Unfortunately, he is too late, and the minion monkeys use their skills together to create a huge wall that blocks of its attack. They surround Ilu and begin attacking him from all sides, and he finds it tough to keep up with their increased speed and strength. Lace tries to support him by attacking the monkeys, but the boss ape grabs her and throws her towards a tree. Ilu somehow manages to grab her, but finds that she has been knocked out. He realizes that the longer the fight drags on, the more trouble he will be in. He decides to go back to the basics and asks Siri to tell him more about the boss ape. Siri tells him that the giant orangutan is a D+ ranked monster who evolved after defeating the previous alpha of the group. Orangutans take evolving in battle quite seriously, and they know a lot of support skills to help their clan. Ilu doesn't think that this information helps him in any manner, but then he checks the boss orangutan's skills again and finds that it has the telepathy skill. He decides to try talking to him before fighting, and for that, he takes the unconscious ape hostage. The other monkeys try to fight back, but their boss stops them and uses its telepathy skill to speak directly into Ilu's brain. He is interested in Ilu after realizing that he can see his stats and asks him what does he want. Ilu tells him that the unconscious monkey has been poisoned, and if nothing is done, he will surely die. However, Lace can give him the antidote, and Ilu wants to use that as a bargaining chip for the boss ape to retreat. However, the boss ape replies that Ilu is too big of a threat to ignore, and they will kill him here before he can become even stronger. Ilu tells him that in an all-out fight, everyone will die, but the boss ape is ready for that because their clan's philosophy is to let the weak die out in battle so that the strong ones can survive and prosper. Ilu realizes that he can't bargain with the ape boss now, but then he gets another idea. He challenges him to a duel as the leader of his clan. The ape boss says that duels are only heard between leaders of different ape clans or when an alpha is challenged. Even though they have never had a duel against another monster species, the boss thinks that the same rules can apply. He accepts Ilu's challenge and says that a duel is a sacred thing, so no one will interfere unless a winner is determined. With that, Ilu asks Lace to give the poison monkey the antidote, and as soon as she does that, the monkeys grab her as well as the unconscious monkey. Ilu asks them what the hell are they doing, and the ape boss explains that they are just making sure that Lace obeys the laws of the duel, and once the fight is over, she will be released. Both the fighters step ahead with that, and as soon as the duel starts, the ape boss begins to overwhelm Ilu with powerful blows. Ilu starts rolling away to dodge his attacks, and the ape boss tells him to man up and fight the duel he started. Ilu realizes that he can't keep running forever, so he starts a counterattack and rolls towards the boss, pushing him back. He then jumps up and hits him with a full-powered tail swing, causing the ground under his feet to crack. Ilu lands many hits on the boss ape's head, leaving it in a state of confusion. He decides to take the chance to finish him off, but the boss ape creates a rock wall to block him. He then gets on top of the wall and uses a skill to put all his mana into his agility. The ape boss is much faster now, and he beats the crap out of Ilu, who can't even predict his moves anymore. After getting slammed down to the ground, Ilu decides to go in for a head-on fistfight. He taunts the ape boss, asking him to face him head-on if he is not scared, and that taunt works on the proud ape. Ilu and the ape boss charge towards each other and begin punching each other like a good old episode of Baki. Their powerful punches rattle the entire forest, and Lace watches the fight eagerly with the monkeys. After a couple of minutes, both the fighters are exhausted and wounded, and Ilu realizes that he doesn't have much strength left. He decides to put everything in his last punch and manages to hit the ape boss first. He feels that he has won as Siri tells him that his dragon punch skill has leveled up. But just as he is about to rejoice, the ape boss lands a final counterattack, knocking him down. Both the clan chiefs fall flat on their face, and when Ilu opens his eyes, he sees Lace on top of him while Siri tells him that he has defeated the boss orangutan and obtained the title of clan boss. Ilu passes out again after that, and when he finally wakes up, he finds himself in a dark cave with Lace on top of him. He asks her where are they, but as his eyes adjust to the darkness and he looks around, he finds that they are back in their cave. Ilu wonders how this could happen because he was knocked out cold in the middle of the forest by the boss orangutan's final punch. He suddenly opens up his status window and finds that he leveled up, which makes him realize that he won the fight against the boss ape. Ilu is thrilled on hearing this and he hugs Lace to celebrate their victory. He thinks that she brought him back to the cave once he passed out and asks how did she even manage to do that with her tiny body. Lace silently signals to the bunch of monkeys in their cave who start emoting as soon as Ilu sees them. He panics on seeing them here and wonders why are they here, and his first guess is that they are here to get revenge for their alpha's death. He gets worried as the monkeys approach him because he is exhausted and weak right now and can't fight properly. However, the monkeys don't attack him and keep doing their silly emotes like they are cheering on Ilu. He feels that they are treating him like he is their boss now, and as soon as he checks his titles, his doubt is confirmed. He finds that he has got the title of clan boss after beating Harem's cousin, and that is why the monkeys are following him. Lace is still on her guard against them, but Ilu tells her to relax because the monkeys don't want to fight them, and instead, they look like they can be helpful. He decides to let them handle the boring tasks, so that he can do other things, and Lace is not happy at all to see Ilu trust anyone other than her. The next day, the monkeys gather a whole pile of fruits for Ilu, and he is really amazed at their efficiency and speed. Lace is upset that Ilu is happy about this, and when he praises the monkeys, she is left aghast. The monkeys then point at the meat jerky that Ilu has left to dry on the trees, and since he is in a really good mood, he lets them eat it, which pisses off his toxic girlfriend even more. After that, Ilu decides to create more jerky since he doesn't need to gather any food for today. He goes inside the cave and starts preparing the meat when one monkey arrives there and begins staring at the pot out of curiosity. Ilu realizes that he is interested in cooking, so he decides to teach him to further reduce his workload and let the monkeys handle cooking too. He starts from the basics about slicing the meat, then placing it in a pot to mix salt and spices in it, and then to leave it for a while. The monkey keeps watching him intently, and his eyes glow in excitement once Ilu finishes his lesson. Ilu is also pleased to see this, and he gives the monkey a pound of meat and a knife so that he can start working. But that relaxed feeling suddenly turns into something menacing as he feels a threatening aura coming from behind him. He notices Lace walk past him fuming with rage, but he doesn't get what is wrong with her. Anyway, Ilu goes back to his chain of thoughts and thinks that he can leave the chef monkey in charge of preparing the jerky, but that will leave him with nothing to do during his free time. Suddenly, he gets an idea that he needs to store more food since he has more roommates, and he decides to make more pots. He goes outside and starts making bedroom noises as he tries to knead a clay dough, but another curious monkey comes there and asks what is he doing. Ilu tells him that he is making a pot like the one drying in the corner using wet clay, and the monkey points at himself because he wants to do that too. Ilu suddenly recalls that the monkeys have a skill called nimble that makes them quite good at doing complicated things, and on top of that, they have more human-like hands, which are more helpful in a lot of things. Ilu figures out that the monkeys will eventually become better than him at making pots, so he decides to teach the curious ape everything he knows. After finishing the entire process from shaping to baking the pots, Ilu hands the monkey a bunch of clay and tells him to get working. He then goes outside to get some sunlight and fresh air, where he finds Lace trying to work on some clay as well. As soon as Ilu asks her what is she doing, Lace freezes in shock. Ilu says that she can't do much pottery with her small hands, and his statement hurts Lace's emotions. She runs away crying and calling Ilu a dumbass in her mind, but he doesn't understand why she was trying to do something she was not built for. Either way, he decides to act like a Chad and not care why Lace is mad if she is not going to tell him directly. He then goes to the remaining two monkeys and gives them tools made of clay because they also need to do some work if they want to live here. He tells them that he made the hammer and shovel out of clay bear's remains on a whim, and they turned out strong enough to smash boulders. Ilu tells the monkeys that their job is to expand the cave, and they readily accept his order. But seeing this makes Lace's rage boil over her limits. At the same time, Yuno and Melsha are having lunch in an inn in the nearby city as they talk about how their teammates are not here yet. They still get goosebumps whenever they think about the plague dragon they faced in the forest and decide to investigate it thoroughly to prevent any danger to civilization. Meanwhile, the next morning, Ilu wakes up with Lace on top of him and she tries to get him up quickly. He asks her why is she panicking and if there is any enemy in their base. But as he tries to get up, he finds that his body feels really heavy. He wonders what is happening, but then finds that the reason behind his heaviness is the monkeys who are sleeping on top of him like they are his girlfriends. He wants the stinky monkeys to give him some space because he wants to get up now, but they are sound asleep. Ilu decides to go back to sleep himself when suddenly, he notices the monkeys howling and panicking because one of them suddenly fell ill. Ilu immediately checks his stats and finds that he has been poisoned. Lace stands next to him, giggling and tapping her foot on the ground at the success of her plan. But Ilu tells her that she can't poison the monkeys just because she doesn't like them. Lace is still angry at him and goes to the pot that the monkey made, and Ilu finally realizes what is bothering her. He apologizes for not giving her much attention lately and then lifts her up, saying that he will make up for it. He says that they should go out hunting together like the good old times, and Lace feels much better on hearing this. Back in the village, Mer goes restless since the adventurers who went into the forest haven't returned even after a week has passed, and she decides to go out to look for them and Dawes on her own. At the same time, Ilu takes Lace out for hunting and talks about how he is just one level away from evolving again. He says that they should get some good meat today and then find some things to decorate the cave. However, Lace doesn't share his excitement, because contrary to what she wanted, Ilu brought along his monkeys with them. The monkeys are doing ape activities with the weapons that Ilu made for them, and he feels that they are going to be really helpful in hunting more prey. He asks Lace why she looks so upset, and then tells her to inform them as soon as she spots a prey. Lace suddenly starts walking away without saying a single thing, and Ilu panics when he fails to stop her. Like any clueless douchebag boyfriend, he fails to realize his mistake and thinks that it would have been much better if they could speak the same language. Suddenly, Lace stops because she spotted something, and seconds later, 2 gray wolves jump out of the bushes. Ilu tells Lace to get ready to fight, and she is happy that they get to act as a team yet again. But the monkeys jump the gun and pounce on the wolves with their weapons, pummeling the shit out of them. Ilu is impressed at their strength and skill, but Lace gets super angry. She starts walking away deep into the forest, and Ilu chases after her as he tries to understand what is wrong with her. Meanwhile, Mer is in the forest when suddenly, she notices Dawes walk past her. He looks like a zombie now and doesn't even respond to her voice, so she chases after him, unaware that she is being watched by the monsters of the forest. She soon gets lost, and just then, a bunch of 3-eyed monsters start approaching her from the shadows. At the same time, Lace is still angrily mumbling while Ilu follows her, explaining that he can't leave the monkeys alone because he is their boss. She doesn't listen to anything he says, but then Ilu promises her that the next time, it will be just the 2 of them, and they will leave the monkeys at the cave. Lace stops in her tracks and looks back at Ilu, who wonders if this is going to work, and luckily, it does. Lace jumps at him in joy, and they start cuddling with each other. Ilu promises that he will keep her safe no matter what, and then tells her that she doesn't need to be jealous of the monkeys because she is the most important person in his life right now, and that will never change. They start cuddling with that when suddenly, Ilu hears a scream coming from the distance, and he low-key throws Lace away on hearing that. He immediately recognizes Mer's voice and realizes that she must be in danger yet again. He wants to go and save her, but as he sees Lace looking at him curiously, he thinks that he shouldn't take her along. He remembers the last time he ran into humans, they tried to kill him even though he just wanted to be friends with them. He fears that if there are any humans with Ma right now, they will surely attack him and Lace, and he doesn't want her to be in danger. He decides to go alone and asks Lace to wait for him. However, the moment he starts rolling ahead, Lace follows him and Ilu tells her to stop. When she doesn't listen, he speeds up, but Lace still doesn't give up and ends up crashing into a rock. Ilu is worried about her and goes to check up on her and finds that she still has most of her HP. He asks her to wait for him because he will be back soon, but Lace still doesn't want to let go of him. She grabs his tail, but Ilu still leaves her behind, saying that he can't let her be in danger, but he needs to save more as well. Lace is left heartbroken on being left alone, and that results in Ilu's wrongdoer title leveling up. But because he is doing something heroic, his title of Itty Bitty Hero also levels up. Ilu tells Siri to shut up with that useless nonsense because he must focus on finding Mer first. Meanwhile, Mer is surrounded by fearsome wolves with 3 eyes, and she has her back against the wall. One wolf pounces on her, but luckily, Ilu comes in clutch and hits it away. He looks at Mer to guess if she recognizes him, but she looks like she has no idea who he is. Ilu is not surprised at that, and he decides to focus on the wolves before anything else. Siri tells him that he is facing Maha wolves, who are D-ranked monsters that can use their 3rd eye to share information with their pack mates. Ilu realizes that he needs to defeat them quickly before they call for backup, and he asks Siri about their stats. She answers that some of their stats are hidden at the moment, and Ilu panics when he gets dizzy as he looks at the stats of the Mahawolves. Suddenly, the wolves attack him, and he burns one of them with his flame breath, while blocking the other two with his sturdy arms. He accidentally opens his wings while doing that, and it is enough to terrify Mer. Ilu panics because he can spread deadly powder on opening his wings, and he immediately tucks them back in. He approaches Mer to check if she is alright, but she is really terrified of him, and her reaction makes Ilu realize that she was not nearly as scared of the wolves as she is of him. That hurts Ilu's ego, but as he tries to tell Mer that he is the baby dragon who helped her in the past, Ciri tells him that he has leveled up after defeating the wolves and reached level 40, which is the max level before he gets to evolve again. Ilu tells her stupid mechanical voice to shut up because he is trying to riz up the huzz now, and for a brief moment, Mer sees the baby dragon in his side profile. She suddenly gets up and starts acting like a dragon, and Ilu remembers that this is how he reacted when he first met her. He realizes that she knows who he is, and he starts mimicking her to assure her that she is safe with him. Just then, more wolves arrive there, and instead of fighting, Ilu makes Mer get on his back and then runs away at full speed, promising to keep her safe. Meanwhile, in the village, everyone is in panic because they can't find Mer. Marie asks a guy named Greg to search for her, and Greg tells her that he scanned the entire village, but no one had seen Mer recently. Marie is sure that she went to the forest to look for Dawes, and Greg asks if he should go to search her. Marie decides that it would be too risky for a normal person like Greg, and instead, she decides to go into the forest herself. At the same time, Melsha and Yuno also arrive at the forest from another angle with their party. The archer replies that the forest doesn't look anything special, but Yuno tells him that it is as weird as it gets. She tells her friends about the jars full of pepper in the cave and the plague dragon wandering nearby. Melsha says that she realized that the mission was too dangerous for just the two of them, and that is why she called their remaining members. The archer asks if she plans to go into the forest right away, and Melsha replies that she will go to the village first to meet her client so that they can discuss the details with her. At the same time, Ilu is running ahead at full speed while carrying Mern, who is really worried, but her words sound like gibberish to him. He wonders how far will the Maha wolves follow them when he notices that they are heading into a canyon where the wolves can't surround him. He heads inside and puts Mer in a safe spot and then waits for the wolves to attack him. The wolves immediately charge at him, but Ilu is ready for them, and he immediately blows them away with his flame breath. One wolf remains and lunges ahead despite seeing its companions die, and Ilu immediately slashes it with his claws. The wolf falls to the ground, and Ilu wonders why did it not retreat even after sensing that it was outmatched. Just then, Ciri tells him that he has reached his level cap, so he can't gain more exp till he evolves. Ilu tells her to shut up and then heads back to Mer, not noticing a slimy liquid comes out of the wolf's third eye. After that, Ilu places Mer on his back and begins running ahead, thinking that if he takes her to the village, it will be a repeat telecast of the same thing that happened the last time. He will be treated as a monster and attacked, and he doesn't want that. Suddenly, his thoughts wander off, and he wonders why did Mer come into the forest all by herself. He wants to know the answer to that question desperately, but the language barrier between them prevents him from asking her anything. Ilu decides to take Mer to a safe place near the village for starters when she leans closer to his back and thanks him. Ilu can understand that she thanked him even though her words are still gibberish to him, and he feels really glad that they are making some progress. As always, Ciri interrupts his happy moments and asks if he would like to see the evolution tree that has been unlocked after reaching his level cap. Ilu curses her AI software once again, but then decides to get it done with. He opens the evolution tree and finds that this time, he has 4 options available to him, but the surprising bit is that there is no form that is related to a plague dragon. Ciri tells him to pay real money to unlock that information, but Ilu tells her no thanks because even if there was an option, he would not pick being an adult plague dragon, because that would scare the shit out of Mer. Ciri asks him if he would like details of the forms available to him, and Ilu tells her to go ahead. The first form is Dark Drago Human, which is a low-ranking dragon-human hybrid and is considered a demi-human by people. Ilu wonders what the hell is a demi-human, and based on his experiences with a human transformation skill, he feels that there will be some ugly twist if he picks it in hopes of becoming closer to a human. Ciri tells him that his next option is to be a rolling dragon that focuses on speed over anything else, and Ilu doesn't need any further explanation about this one. The third option is the Little Arc Dragon, which is a light element dragon with high intelligence stats. Ilu's eyes gleam in hope as he hears that he can evolve into a light-type dragon despite being a young plague dragon. He feels that a little dragon will most probably have limited evolution options, but he is still tempted to pick it because then Mer would not be terrified of him. Ciri then informs him that his final option is the Jormungand, which is a giant serpent-type dragon, whose dark scales contain a deadly poison. The ground over which this dragon slithers becomes permanently lifeless, and Ilu freaks out on hearing this. He definitely doesn't want any form that can make him an even serious threat to humanity, as he is trying to put his tiny brain into overdrive mode to pick one form. Mer suddenly points towards a waterfall in front of them. Ilu stops there to let Mer hydrate and relax while he starts thinking harder over his life choices. He eliminates Jormungand right away and then thinks about the rolling dragon. Even though the idea of being the fastest dragon intrigues him, he feels that he will become a freak show overall. He is quite tempted to pick the little arc dragon because humans would probably love a light element dragon. On that note, he thinks that being a dark Drago human would be even better if he wants to become closer to humans, but that has its own set of challenges. Ilu wonders how close are demi-humans to real humans, and how will monsters react to him if he chooses that evolution. More importantly, he is worried about Lace's reaction once she sees him transform into something different than she has seen till now. As he is lost in thoughts, Mer approaches him and asks what is he thinking. Ilu tries to explain to her that he is thinking about his future life, but he can't explain what he is saying to her. He can't understand what Mer is saying either, and he becomes hopeless that he can't communicate with her. Suddenly, Mer gets an idea and she roars as she points at Ilu. He realizes that she is trying to say something, and then Myria introduces herself. Ilu can understand her name, and he realizes what she is trying to say. Mer tells him the words for trees, rocks, and water, and as Ilu plays with her, his language skill levels up. As he interacts more with her, his language skill levels up further, and by evening, he can understand what Mer is saying. She tells him that she has come to the forest multiple times to search for someone, and Ilu can't ask anything because of the language barrier. He mimics dog ears to ask if she was looking for the two girls that came to the forest, and Mer refuses, saying that they were adventurers, but she was looking for the guy named Daz. Ilu recalls that the guy named Daz died while fighting the rock dragon, but he still wants to confirm and puts a wig of grass on his head to ask if she is talking about a guy with similar hair. Mer excitedly affirms and then hugs Ilu, saying that she knew that he was the dragon who saved her earlier. Ilu folds at this, and he decides to turn into a demi-human after all, even if it means that his relationship with Lace might be hindered. After that, Mer asks him if he has a name, and we call him Ilu for convenience, but the dragon doesn't really have a name yet. He shakes his head as he realizes that he is just a nameless monster right now, and Mer feels bad for him. She asks if she can come up with a name for him, and Ilu grabs her hands and nods his head violently to accept her offer. Mer stares at his face and recalls how he once saved her by fighting numerous threats. She suddenly gets an inspiration and tells him that he is a hero, so she will name him Ilu, after her favorite flower named Illusia. Ilu feels delighted on hearing that, and he accepts his name, hoping that one day he sees the flower that inspired it. However, Ciri talks just then, asking if he is sure about accepting the name Ilu, because once he accepts it, he cannot change it. Ilu is surprised about the response, and Ciri asks him once again to confirm his name. Ilu is surprised to hear that he had this option with him all along, and he gladly accepts the name Mer gave him. Ciri registers his name officially, and Ilu feels on the top of the world now. Suddenly, he hears loud footsteps approaching him and fears that a powerful monster is heading towards him. He immediately puts Mer on his back and then dashes ahead to avoid the monster. He decides to take a detour and send Mer to the village first and then look for Daz himself. Suddenly, a Mahawolf starts chasing after him, but Ilu is not worried about it at all. He checks its stats and finds an effect named Magic Energy Reception on it, wondering if it is being controlled by another monster. As the Mahawolf jumps at him, Ilu slaps it away with his tail and speeds up. But to his shock, there are more Mahawolves in front of him with their boss. Ilu stops on being cornered, but as he sees who he is facing, he is aghast. A crazed Daz is riding on top of the boss Mahawolf, and he laughs maniacally as Mer asks him why is he with the monsters. Ilu tries to check Daz's stats, and to his surprise, his skill column is completely empty. Mer loses all her survival instinct on seeing Daz and rushes towards him to talk to him, but he charges ahead at her. Luckily, Ilu reacts quickly and blocks the Mahawolf, but Daz pulls out his sword to attack her. Mer instinctively casts a fireball at him to push him back, and then Ilu hits the wolf to knock it to the ground. Daz drops a round rock as he falls to the ground, but then he immediately grabs it and gets up. Ilu wonders why is Daz so worried about that rock, but then Mer notices something about it. Suddenly, heavy footsteps start getting closer and Mer panics as she realizes that these are the footsteps of the rock dragon. Dawes also hears this, and he suddenly changes his direction, leading the Mahawolves to the village. Ilu is completely dumbfounded by what is happening, but then the terrified Mer tells him that the rock that Dawes was carrying was actually a rock dragon egg. Ilu now understands that Dawes is carrying the egg to the village to taunt the rock dragon into attacking the village. He wonders why would he want to do that, but the most important thing right now is to stop Dawes. He tells Mer to hop on his back so that they can catch up to Dawes, but the Mahawolves start chasing them. Ilu realizes that he can't run fast enough to catch up to Dawes with Mer on his back, and his mind is on the verge of exploding as he tries to figure out what is Dawes planning. Suddenly, Mer calls out his name and asks him to leave her behind and hurry to stop Dawes. She says that she will stop the Mahawolves somehow and Ilu should protect the village anyhow. Ilu knows that she doesn't stand a chance against the wolves, and he decides to settle things with them before dealing with Dawes. He puts Mer on the ground and then stands firm as the leader of the Mahawolves bites him. Ilu simply pitches him away and then throws him high up in the air to finish him with a nutcracker. In the meantime, the rest of the wolves charge towards Mer. Ilu tackles one of them quickly, but the other wolf slashes Mer's shoulder. Ilu quickly hits it away and then finishes the remaining monster too. But Mer is in a terrible state right now. She is still more worried about the village and Ilu promises that he will protect the village, but he won't abandon her for that. Meanwhile, in the village, Greg is still on patrol when he hears the roar of a rock dragon. Marie also hears the roar in the distance, but she hopes that it is just her ears ringing, and she focuses on finding Mer. The adventurers also hunt down a Mahawolf on their way, unaware that Dawes is taking a rock dragon egg to the village. The rock dragon is pursuing them angrily, and the creepy slime monster is not far away from it. In the middle of all this, Ilu is carrying the injured Mer on his back. Not realizing that he is going to be at the center of a great event, Ilu runs towards the village as fast as he can while carrying the injured Mer on his back. She realizes that he is taking her towards the village and thanks him. Ilu is glad that she is still in her senses, which means that her injuries are not that bad. He wants her to use healing magic on herself so that she can be completely fine, and Mer uses her healing magic. Not on herself, but on him. Ilu is dumbfounded that Mer is healing him, but she tells him that he has more serious injuries than her, so he needs treatment first. Ilu thinks that she is too kind for her own good, but Mer tells him to hurry towards the village. Meanwhile, in the village, Greg is facing off against a Mahawolf on his own. He wonders how can a monster reach the village when the warding stones are still active. Suddenly, the wolf pounces on him, and Greg lets his spear take support from the ground to pierce through its heart. He gets buried under the weight of the monster in the process, and just as he is trying to get out, he notices the menacing figure of Ilu standing on top of him. Greg is terrified for the villagers now, and he struggles to free himself as quickly as possible so that he can fight against the evil dragon. Ilu knew this was going to happen, but luckily this time Mer is conscious to become his advocate. She tells Greg that Ilu is her friend, and he has come here to save the village. Greg is shocked to see Mer with a monster after he searched for her the whole day. But then he begins to think that something about Ilu looks familiar. Even Ilu recognizes him as the dude who stabbed him the last time, and Greg asks Mer if it is the same dragon from the last time. Mer affirms, saying that Ilu has evolved into a young plague dragon, but he is the same dragon that saved her earlier. As Ilu removes the body of the Mahawolf to free Greg, Mer again tells him that Ilu is very kind and he really wants to help them. Greg still can't believe that despite the proof being right in front of his eyes, but he decides to put his faith in the friendly plague dragon. First, he apologizes for hurting Ilu the last time even though he was just trying to help Mer, and Ilu melts instantly on seeing how reasonable Greg is. He replies that it is all right, and Mer tells Greg that Ilu can understand human language, even though he can't speak it. That is an even bigger shock to Greg, but he forgets all about it as a deafening roar rocks the area. Greg says that the rock dragon seems to be getting close to them, and Mer asks if he saw Dawes by any chance. Greg replies that Dawes was leading a pack of wolves, and he set one loose after him while he headed towards the village. Mer reveals that Dawes is luring the rock dragon towards the village using its egg as a hostage, and they need to stop him immediately. She tells Ilu that they need to hurry, and Greg volunteers to help them because the villagers will trust him more than Mer. Ilu signals him to hop on his back and runs towards the village, where Dawes has already reached. The village drunk is among the people who see him, and he wants everyone to suck it up because he turned out to be right about Dawes being alive. However, Dawes looks far from normal at the moment, and he laughs menacingly as he takes the rock dragon egg with him. Soon, Ilu and others reach the village, and though the villagers are shocked to see a dragon, Greg asks them if they saw Dawes, and learns that he is heading towards the watchtower. Just then, the head of the rock dragon becomes visible from the village, and everyone freaks out. Mer once again says that they need to stop Dawes, but Greg asks her to leave that up to him and Ilu, while she helps the villagers evacuate. Ilu agrees with him because he doesn't want to put Mer in any more danger, and she decides to follow their plan. Ilu and Greg ride towards the sunset to stop Dawes, and Greg remarks that it is hard to believe that the dragon hatchling became a plague dragon so quickly. He tells Ilu that once this matter is resolved, he will introduce him to all the villagers so that they can be friends, and there is nothing Ilu wants more than that. He starts prancing in joy, thinking that this is the beginning of his heroic tale, and he has to thank Greg for that. At the same time, Dawes has reached the watchtower and murdered the guard as well as some hens, because there is no punishment for that since this is not Skyrim. The other people are aghast and confused by what is happening when Greg and Ilu arrive there. Everyone is terrified on seeing a dragon, but Greg tells them that Ilu is on their side. He orders everyone to evacuate the village because a rock dragon has attacked them. The villagers run away as fast as they can, but one boy stays behind to watch the fight. Dawes charges at Greg and manages to push him down from Ilu's back, but when he tries to attack Ilu, he is easily overpowered. Ilu disarms him and then hits him away, but as he is about to finish Dawes off, he hesitates because that would make him a real monster in the eyes of the villagers. The brainwashed Dawes still laughs menacingly, and Ilu decides to knock him out with a hit that rattles his brain. Ilu then starts hyping himself, saying that he is the dragon of justice who doesn't kill unless it is absolutely necessary. He then tries confiscating the egg so that he can take it away from the village, but shockingly, Dawes returns to his senses just then and leaps away from him. Ilu is sure that no normal human could do this, so he checks Dawes' stats and finds that he has the same abnormal effect as the Mahawolves. Meanwhile, Dawes notices the boy hiding nearby, and he immediately takes him hostage so that Ilu can't attack him. He starts walking backwards towards the rock dragon egg, and Ilu can't come up with any solution to the problem in front of him. Suddenly, Dawes reaches the dragon egg and drops his sword, much to Ilu's surprise. Then he does something even more bizarre and spits out a stream of slimy gel that grabs the top of the watchtower and pulls him upwards. Ilu wonders what could be the reason behind this and the abnormal status when an even bigger problem appears. The rock dragon has reached the village, and it angrily charges towards its egg. Dawes lifts up the egg to taunt it further, and Ilu leaps towards the egg to take it into his custody. However, Dawes yeets the hostage boy away, and Ilu is forced to save him first. But Dawes uses that chance to jump towards the ground, ready to smash the egg on the ground. Ilu freezes in horror as he realizes that no one can stop Dawes now, and he smashes the rock dragon's egg right in front of its eyes. The rock dragon goes berserk on seeing this and begins stomping violently, sending a wave of destruction through the village. Marie hears the sounds of its rampage while returning to the village and finds Mer as soon as she enters the village boundary. She asks her what is going on, and Mer tells her that Dawes lured the rock dragon into the village and Greg and Ilu are trying to stop it. Meanwhile, Ilu lifts his head up after the rampage of the rock dragon is over and confirms that the boy was safe under his protection. He looks at the destruction around and then at Dawes, who is busy humping the air while the rock dragon stares at him angrily. The rock dragon then turns Dawes into a paste under its heavy feet, and Ilu realizes that he could have prevented the destruction of the village if he had been the one to kill Dawes earlier. Just then, Greg calls out to him, and Ilu is glad that he is safe too. He asks Greg to take the boy and run because he needs the area to be clear so that he can fight the rock dragon. Greg thinks that it is a risky move, but he believes in Ilu and asks him not to die. With that, Ilu is left alone to face off against an enemy much stronger than him, and he is not sure if he can beat it. However, he is not ready to give up because the fate of the people he cares about hangs on this fight. He decides to go all in and immediately charges at the rock dragon with a dragon punch, which turns out to be completely ineffective against its rock-solid defenses. He follows up with his fire breath, but that doesn't do anything either. Next, Ilu uses a meteorite attack to smash the rock dragon's tough hide, but is also useless. He realizes that he doesn't have any attack that can overcome the high defense stats of the rock dragon. But as he is busy thinking that, the rock dragon bitch slaps him to the ground. Ilu takes a ton of damage from the single hit and finds that he can't move his body properly now. He has understood by now that he doesn't have a single move in his arsenal that can work against his enemy, and at this rate, both he and the village are doomed. However, just then, Greg comes in clutch with a few more men from the village who attack the dragon with arrows to distract it. Greg gets close enough to attack the dragon with his spear, causing it to shift its attention away from Ilu, who gets up and lands a powerful dropkick on its neck. The rock dragon loses its balance for a moment, and using that chance, the villagers pierce its eye with an arrow. Greg tells his friends that he will help Ilu in distracting the rock dragon, and when they find the chance, they should aim for its other eye to completely blind it. At the same time, Ilu checks the rock dragon's stats to see how much damage it has taken and finds that after all the attacks, it has most of its HP intact. Suddenly, he notices that the dragon is about to use a powerful attack. He can't warn the humans in time, and the rock dragon sends powerful earthen spikes towards them, taking out one of them quickly. Greg tries to help the other guy, but ends up being trapped between two rocky pillars, unable to move. Ilu wonders what can he do in this situation when suddenly, he hears a distorted voice telling him to run. He wonders what the hell is happening, and Siri tells him that she has reached level 4, and now Ilu can access the simplified simulator rendered by Laplace. Those are a lot of words that Ilu doesn't understand, and then the strange voice from earlier talks to him again, saying that she knows he won't run away no matter how much he is warned. The voice tells Ilu that she never got bored watching him, but now they are going to part ways. Ilu doesn't even realize that he is in the palms of a divine entity, and decides to prove the voice wrong by taking down the rock dragon. He decides to evolve into a more powerful dragon, because that is the only way he can win. But there is the risk that his appearance will change, and neither Mert nor Lace will recognize him. Just then, the rock dragon attacks him and Ilu rolls away, wondering which of the 4 evolutions should he choose. He thinks that Jormungand has the best chances of winning, but he doesn't want to turn into something so dangerous. The rolling dragon doesn't seem strong from the description, and the dark Drago human is the same. He doesn't know if the little arc dragon has any offensive abilities, and he asks Siri to tell him which of them has the best chance against the rock dragon. Suddenly, he feels his body go weak as if someone sucked all his mana, and Siri tells him that he has earned the title Laplace Authority Interference. Ilu doesn't care what that random bullshit means, but what is important is that Siri can now tell him the odds of survival for each evolution. She tells Ilu that if he becomes a little arc dragon, there is a 4% chance that he will win. But if he becomes the Jormungand, there is a 98% chance that the fight will end in a draw and the village will be completely destroyed. Ilu asks what is even the point if he can't save the village, but Siri doesn't answer such questions. She tells him that if he becomes a rolling dragon, he has less than 1% chance of victory, but his chances of escaping are above 99%. Ilu doesn't want to run away and abandon everyone, but then he stumbles and falls on the ground, wondering what should he do now. Meanwhile, in the forest, the furry girl Yuno hears the sound of the rock dragon's rampage and immediately tells her party about it. Her party immediately gets alert in the middle of their break, and Melcia tells them that they need to hurry. On the other hand, the villagers are seeking shelter nearby with Mer and Marie in charge. Mer asks if all the villagers have evacuated, and Marie replies that a lot of them have not yet shown up in the shelter. Just then, a woman arrives there with her unconscious son, and while Marie treats the boy, the woman tells her that she saw Greg and a couple other men head towards the village center, claiming that they were going to stop the dragon. Mer says that she also wants to go to the village center to help them, and Marie replies that she cannot do it because the villagers need her help there. Mer replies that she has already treated all the people here and Greg and others need her help more right now. Marie realizes that she cannot dissuade her from her decision, so she decides to do whatever any bro would do and joins her in her stupidity. Back in the village, Ilu is still thinking about his decision, fully aware that the more time he takes, the worse his situation gets. He thinks that if he evolves into the little arc dragon, he can save Greg, but in doing that, his odds of winning against the rock dragon are just 4%, and even the chance of saving his friends is just 1%. However, Ilu shows the middle finger to the AI chatbot, because no machine can tell him what to do. He suddenly leaps up in the air and dodges the rock dragon's attack before rolling towards it and hitting it with his full strength. The rock dragon is knocked off its feet by that attack, and Ilu immediately goes to check on Greg. Ilu finds that Greg is bleeding out seriously, and the only way he can save him is by turning into a little arc dragon. However, Greg suddenly holds his hand and tells him not to worry about him. Ilu wonders what the hell is he babbling about, and then Greg starts saying that there is no reason for a plague dragon like him to attack humans. Ilu tells him to shut up because he should conserve his energy in times like this, but then Greg says that he knows that Ilu is not using his full strength right now. He asks Ilu to do him a favor and eat him because he knows that monsters become stronger by eating humans. Ilu immediately rejects that offer because even an evil dragon is better than Epstein and his friends. He tries to explain that he doesn't eat people and doesn't level up by eating others, but of course Greg can't understand him. Ilu says that he can only power up through evolving when suddenly he gets a thought that opens up a new direction for him. He thinks a lot about how he evolved into a young plague dragon, but still did heroic acts to gain the title of itty bitty hero that kept the doors to good evolutions open for him. However, even though he is a young plague dragon, there is no option to become an adult plague dragon in his evolution tree, which means that he is not evil enough to turn into an adult plague dragon. Meanwhile, Greg still continues his rant and says that Ilu helped Mer, but he still stabbed him. Despite that, Ilu is helping humans by fighting a rock dragon, and that means he is not a monster at heart. Greg lifts Ilu's talons and puts it on his neck, shocking the surviving villager. Greg then starts acting like a martyr already and tells Ilu to devour him and protect the village. Ilu gets teary-eyed on hearing that and realizes that this is what he must do to save everyone. He slashes Greg's neck and sends it flying, standing silently in his place after that. Ciri tells him that he has already reached his level cap and can't gain any more XP, but his wrongdoer title has reached level 5, and other negative titles have also gone up by 1 level. Ilu realizes that there is no way for him to turn back now, and Ciri asks him if he wants to see his evolution tree now after becoming even more evil. He immediately asks for it, and Ciri tells him that now he can evolve into a B- ranked plague dragon, an evil dragon that brings disaster wherever it goes. Ciri keeps hyping up the evolution into plague dragon, saying it is one of the 3 great calamity monsters and leaves a mountain of corpses behind its trail. Ilu doesn't even wait to hear what are the chances of victory against the rock dragon and chooses to evolve into a plague dragon. His body starts growing and transforming into an adult plague dragon. Just then, the rock dragon gets up and starts roaring, and Ilu responds with an even louder and more menacing roar. The rock dragon attacks the pillar on which Ilu is sitting, but he flies away. The villager who witnessed Ilu evolve into a fearsome monster after killing Greg runs away in fear. Meanwhile, Ilu lands on the ground and tells Greg that he will definitively save the village with the power that his sacrifice gave him. Suddenly, the rock dragon and Ilu start a roaring contest again and charge at each other with full strength. This time, Ilu has similar stats as the rock dragon, so he has no problem in headbutting the rock dragon with full strength. He then grabs the rock dragon's head, but he still doesn't have enough physical strength to overpower it. The rock dragon pushes him back, and Ilu realizes that he can't win in a match of sumo wrestling against his enemy. However, that is not his strong suit anyway. He grabs the rock dragon's head with his other hand too, and then starts flying up. He tries to slash the rock dragon with his poisonous claws, but his claws can't pierce its thick skin. He immediately flies away, luring the rock dragon behind him into an open space because he will have advantage there. At the same time, Mor and Marie reach the village center to look for Greg and Ilu, but they are shocked when they see neither of the dragons there. Just then, the survivor arrives there and Marie asks him where is Greg. The guy grabs his head and falls to his knees as he remembers the horrific incident. He leads Mer and Marie to Greg's headless body, telling them that the plague dragon killed him. Marie asks him if he is sure that the dragon that Mer brought here killed Greg, and he affirms. Mer can't believe that, but the guy tells them that he saw Ilu killing Greg with his own eyes and then growing bigger suddenly. He says that he led the rock dragon towards the east and curses both the monsters. Mer still can't believe that Ilu would kill a human, but Marie tells him that it is not the time for that. They have more important things to do right now, which is treating the injured people that were still stuck in the village. While Mer hurries to treat the injured villagers, Marie just hopes that the rock dragon and the plague dragon don't return to the village, because then the village would surely be destroyed. Meanwhile, an intense fight is going on between Ilu and the rock dragon in the open space. The rock dragon bites his tail and uses the skill to launch earth spikes at him. Ilu slaps it and frees himself in time to evade the attack. He gets away from the rock dragon and uses his new skill Whirlwind Slash to release powerful slashes from his wings that deal damage to the rock dragon. Just then, the rock dragon charges at him and Ilu flies away just in time to avoid it. He knows that he would be cooked if the attack landed on him and then checks the rock dragon's stats. He finds that all his attacks haven't done much damage and the rock dragon is still rocking a lot of HP. He wonders if the rock dragon has any weak spots that he can use, but Ciri tells him that he can't access that information yet. Ilu decides that he should focus on the rock dragon's head to do the most amount of damage. He charges ahead and hits the rock dragon's head with a dragon punch and then smacks it with his tail. Ilu then pokes the other eye of the rock dragon as well, leaving it completely blind. The frantic rock dragon starts acting crazy and charges straight towards the village. Ilu flies in front of it to block it from reaching the village where Marie and others are treating the villagers. Just then, Marie notices that Mur is gone. She fears that she has gone to meet Ilu and hopes that she survives being in his presence. On the other hand, Ilu is trying his best to stop the rock dragon, who keeps headbutting him to get free. Ilu starts flapping his wings strongly, releasing a poisonous powder that starts hurting the rock dragon. The rock dragon gets dizzy as a result of the poison, and as Ilu sees that, he notices that the rock dragon's neck is slimmer than the rest of its body. He starts punching the neck with all his strength that activates his another skill called Neckbreaker, that shows him exactly where he needs to attack to finish it off. He punches that point with his full strength and the rock dragon falls dead on the ground. Ciri tells him that he has defeated the rock dragon and earned 380 experience points. Ilu is too exhausted from the fight as well, and he falls to the ground as Ciri tells him that he has reached level 19 in just one fight. Just then, Mur arrives there and asks Ilu if he is the same friendly dragon that she knows. She asks how did he get so big and if he defeated the rock dragon to save the village. Ilu now realizes that he has killed Greg to evolve and wonders what to tell Mur now. Suddenly, an energy bolt hits him and Marie tells Mur to get away from the dangerous dragon while she keeps blasting attacks at it. Mur stands in between them telling Marie that this is the friendly dragon she told her about. Marie replies that this is the dragon that killed Greg and Mur suddenly realizes that she forgot to confirm that. She turns to Ilu to ask that, but the look on his face says it all. She still defends Ilu telling Marie that there must be some misunderstanding because Ilu won't kill a human. Suddenly, the poisonous scales get inside her nose and she starts coughing. Ilu realizes that he has become a monster who can no longer stay with Mur, and he suddenly pushes away to keep her safe. He roars loudly, prompting Marie to fire another bolt at him. Ilu uses that chance to fly away to the lakeside where he checks out his new form in water. He thinks that he is built like a tank now, but then he falls on his back because he is too exhausted. Suddenly, he notices a flower in front of him and Ciri tells him that it is the Illusia flower after which he has been named. Ciri tells him that these flowers only grow where monsters are found, so they are hard to collect. In flower language, they symbolize bravery and heroism, and that reminds Ilu why Mur named him such. He feels that he no longer deserves this name and asks Ciri to erase it. She tells him that his name cannot be changed once it has been set, and Ilu starts writhing on the ground over how terrible he has become. But that's where this video ends. Remember to like and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.